Hi everyone, I'm Steve. I'm here with Dr. Nario. How you doing, Doc?
Pretty good, Steve. Nice to be here, and thank you for inviting me again.
All right, so Dr. Nario is at Biointegrative Health Center in Reno, Nevada. They do a lot of different cool treatments. I think they're cool anyway. Um, IV drips and different things. You can find out more by going to their website, Biointegrative Health Center, and they are in Reno, Nevada. So today we're going to talk about how to keep your bone strength, how to stay strong, keep your bones like they're younger so they're not brittle. And you're going to give us some tips on that. Before we get into that, if you like interviews with doctors, nutritionists, and personal trainers, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to know more about our weight loss program, use the QR code on the screen or the link in the description. So, first, let me ask you this, Dr. Nario. Why do people's bones get weaker as they age?
Well, Steve, when we think about living longer, right, we often focus on heart, brain, skin health, for example, what we see in the external. But our bones are the scaffolding that keeps us upright, mobile, and independent. So that's surprising that, of course, there are other things involved with that. The gut, even our hormones, have powerful effects on whether those bones remain strong or fragile with age. Meaning, aging is something that actually affects the bone structure that we have. And when I mentioned to you about these two things, this is something that we need to put attention on. And of course, we need to highlight the gut's role in nutrient absorption and inflammation. We also need to highlight hormones and also the gut health together influence bone density and fracture risk. So, connecting bone health to longevity and quality of life should be established by everyone.
Okay, so of course, I want to get into what should we do to keep our bones strong. But what are some of the factors? I think you just mentioned some, the gut and so on. But what is it? Is it that older people are doing something different? Or do they need more of something? But what is causing people's bones to get brittle as they age? If they're just someone who's doing the same thing they did when they were 20, 30, 40, 50, now all of a sudden something's off. What are some of those things that cause that?
Right. So the thing that I want to mention, so we mentioned about basically focusing on two things. So when you talk about gut health, right? So it's the gut bone connection. So let's start with that. So the gut, as we know, is the one that absorbs nutrients, and it's absorbing calcium, magnesium, vitamin D, and vitamin K2, all vital for bone formation and also mineralization. Of course, in the gut, anti-inflammatory metabolites. So the gut bacteria, the good guys, create short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, which lowers inflammation and stimulate the bone-forming cells. And also when we talk about leaky gut, and this is wear and tear of our guts from the diet that we have exposed ourselves to, leading to systemic inflammation again and activation of these cells that breaks down bone. And of course, hormone metabolism. So gut bacteria helps regulate estrogen recirculation and availability through the estrogen producing capacity of the gut. So when I mention estrogen, it's critical for bone preservation, especially when women go through menopause. There's a lot of bone changes, and this is where you hear bones breaking so fast that they're just ending up in nursing homes. So, well, yeah, we'll talk about the hormone part in a bit.
Okay, so one of the big things that's occurring here is our gut. As people get older, is it it's not as effective. The gut's not as effective
In absorbing, yes, in absorbing these
in
nutrients,
absorbing the nutrients.
right?
So, what can we do to help the gut absorb better?
All right. So for gut specifically, of course, this is where we always want to work on our put our efforts on the diet that we eat. So prebiotic fibers, probiotic food, calcium-rich greens, oily fish, nuts, seeds, and even supplementation such as vitamin D3 with K2, magnesium, omega 3s, and even collagen peptides. So that's why, as you could see, gut gut care does not only encompass what we take in, but also what we do in the external perspective of things, such as limiting unnecessary antibiotics that might destroy the gut microbiome, and even managing stress, periodic gut microbiome checkups. So those are just few things that we can do as our own, I guess, uh, maneuvering through this conundrum of how can we maintain gut health as we get older.
Okay, so those are some of the things that can go wrong, but I guess to find out specifically, you need to get some tests and you need to talk to your doctor about these different
Mhm.
gut issues so that you can get to the root cause of it, right?
Right, right. That is
And
correct.
it sounds like these causes pop up more as people age.
That is right. And you have to remember when you age, this is where actually this is where bone health matters. Basically, you have to remember strong bones preserve mobility and self-care capacity. Of course, hip fractures double 1 year mortality in older adults due to immobility, infections, and cardiovascular strain. And also, fracture leads to inactivity, muscle loss, more falls, and further fractures. And again, the mobility longevity link, as I always say, those with better bone integrity walks more, stay engaged socially, and have reduced risk of leading to reduced risk of dementia and heart disease. And these are just facts that needs to be put out there so that we could understand better. Why should I care for my bones?
Well, of course, exercise has to play a role in this, right?
Yes, definitely. So when you mentioned about exercise, I have to say, weight bearing resistance training exercise to stimulate bone and muscle. I like cardio. Yeah, you're running, you're doing marathons, but there's nothing that really puts good stress on your bone when it's weight resistance training, meaning you're breaking that bone, building that up, breaking it again, building it up to be stronger and better each time.
Like squats. And if you can't put a bar on your back, you can hold dumbbells and do squats, right?
Yeah, I mean, not even that. I mean, I'm not saying people should be lifting weights. You could even do body weight training. You could even do
Body squat.
band, yeah, resistance band training. So all of these people think, oh no, I can't do that. I need to be in a gym. Not really. Sometimes these are just excuses that we tell ourselves. But they're even though you don't have equipment for it, your body is your own equipment.
I've also heard something that's good for that is plyometrics, like jumping. Even if you just
Oh yeah,
jump an inch,
yes, that is
and
correct. So
some
as you
people
can
can only
see,
jump an inch, or you maybe, if you jumped higher, you might break something when you come down. So jumping an
yeah.
inch and coming down,
Yeah,
that
not
makes
not
a
the
difference.
trampoline, but the simple jumps would actually be, as you can see, what's involved there, right? Your hamstrings, so the quads. So all of that simple act of jumping alone is already, and as you land, there are more muscles and bone, especially bone. When that impact falls, that actually will break bone in, I mean, micro breaking. That's what our point is. Like Mike, it's the same for the muscle, micro tears, so that we can build it again. So think about the bone almost working like as a muscle. You work it more, it breaks down and it builds up strong.
Okay, so you mentioned hormones. Now, as you get older, uh, hormones have a tendency to get off more also, right?
That's right.
And
So the
and
we're
yes, but
hormone.
what happens when the hormones get off? How does that affect our bone health?
And so majority of these hormone related issues, we always think about the women, right? The osteoporosis leading from coming from a menopausal period. So that's why estrogen. So you have to remember estrogen is there because they actually slow down the bone breakage and prevents the breaking cells, the one that breaks the cells from being activated. It also supports the bone cells that builds the minerals inside the bone. And the problem here is postmenopausal estrogen declines actually accelerates the bone loss, so 1 to 3% per year. And again, with the gut flora of women, this actually helps a lot of estrogen recycling. So that's why there's just a lot of more involvement of estrogen in women. Another one, progesterone. So progesterone is actually promoting the building cells of the bone, and they work synergistically together with estrogen to maintain the bone architecture. So low levels of progesterone reduces the bone formation. And for us and women together, as we share the hormone called testosterone. So it promotes muscle mass, which supports around bone, so the cushion of bone, so that when you fall, it will help that bone be maintained in terms of structure. So thus reducing the fall risk and a direct stimulation of bone. It strengthens the bone, like it strengthens the muscles. And in men, age-related testosterone declines increases osteoporosis risk, and in women, testosterone supports bone density alongside estrogen.
And that's going to help maintain muscle along with the bone strength, right? In which, if you're flexible and you're strong, you're less likely to fall.
Right. And the misconception about sex hormones, and this is what we do in the clinic, and one of my specialties is hormone, I guess, regulation. So we use bioidentical. And this is something that they think, oh, hormones are for sexual enhancements. It's for hot flashes. Really, there are benefits of hormones that you don't see. And this is one of them. I'm talking about cardiovascular, dementia, brain function. But bone is actually one that when you feel that, or when you get a fracture, sometimes that's a little bit too late when you want to build that hormone level back again. So this is one of the things I want to emphasize. Make sure approach this in a more preventative fashion.
Yeah, people they're curious or they wonder, is hormone replacement safe? It's very healthy. I mean, I've experienced that too. It's very healthy to get all your hormones dialed in and get them right where they're supposed to be. It's can be more difficult for women, just more moving parts, more things going on, right?
Yeah, well, the story of hormone use is really dependent on your clinician. If your clinician is basically just holding a gun for the first time and they don't know how to shoot it, stay away, right? If you're in a clinician that is actually well trained, well experienced, and have been seeing patients for the longest time with good results, then you know you're in good hands because there are just some practitioners out there that I have seen, and I teach the other doctors to do this, that they had misconceptions. We had to tweak them to make their artwork be better. So that's why safety is always. I mean, nothing comes without a risk. Even bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. The cancer story is real, but if your clinician knows how to deal with this and mitigate with this, you're going to be in good hands.
So, what other tips or recommendations do you have for us that would help people keep their bones strong?
Right. So the thing that we always want to make sure about bones is actually all about the things that we do to ourselves. So for example, sunshine, right? Sunshine, vitamin D gets activated on this from the skin. So that's something that I always tell people. We just spoke about exercise and weight bearing activities. Do it outside. So you can definitely run, you can jump, and make the vitamin D activated that way. And also diet. So we can also think about calcium rich foods. So this is something that you can get from vegetables, legumes, beans, grains. So it's not only through supplements. Some people think I need to take a supplement for my calcium, but if you think about it, oh, I can actually get it from my food. It's not going to be the same amount in. I think it's even better through food, just because you get other nutrients that goes along with it, vitamin B's, phytonutrients, right, bioflavonoids. So that's why there are also other aspects that you can think about. That I thought bone equals to calcium. I thought bone equals to just plain exercise. So there are factors that we can definitely bank on to help with bone health.
Well, vitamin D has a lot to do with calcium, right? Regulating it or,
Yeah, so
yeah.
vitamin D is definitely something that I would promote, but you have to remember with K2, don't take vitamin D by itself for the reason that vitamin D absorbs calcium from the gut lining, but you don't know what's going to happen next without calcium. It might go to your arteries, might go to your joints. So this calcium, you just want it to go directly to the bone to make it stronger and harder. And K2 does that. It's the police that actually go this way, like the kids are crossing the street from the school bus. You go home, you guys. This is what K2 does. Just go to the bone, don't go anywhere else.
Yeah, and I think most vitamin D supplements are come with vitamin K2 also now. So I haven't seen any vitamin D. I've never bought one, but I guess maybe they do still exist. So you want to make sure you get K2 with it.
Yeah, there are still some out there, but again, when you're a little younger, sure, that's acceptable. But when we get older, we're not only dealing with bone problems, but also cardiovascular problems. So as we get older, I would just suggest get a vitamin D3 with K2, just to be on the safer side of things.
Because we don't want calcium clogging us up.
Definitely not. Those are the clogs in the pipes that it's hard to clean out with the plumbing chemicals that we have. So you don't want to mess up your cardiovascular system that way.
Right. All right. Well, we appreciate it, Doc. Any last thoughts that you would leave us with?
Yeah, so just take home message for everyone. Longevity isn't just about living more years. It's about staying strong and independent in those years. Your bones are central to the goal, and they depend on both healthy gut and balanced hormones. Protect them now, and you're investing in decades of mobility, confidence, and vitality.
Okay. Well, Dr. Nario, as always, thanks for your insight. Thanks for your input. And we will talk to you next time.
Well, Steve, thank you again for having me. As we all know, knowledge is power, and thank you for letting me provide you with edge on longevity and health maintenance, which I call the biological edge or the bio edge.